Bonjour, je suis DeBlois, le réalisateur du Trilogie Dragon, et vous regardez CGM.
Before you worked on Dragon and at Dreamworks, you were at Disney.
Yes.
And you directed Lilo and Stitch, right? So in Lilo and Stitch, there was something edited, changed at the end because of 9/11. Can you speak about it?
Yeah, in the original version, Stitch, as part of becoming good but also still very irresponsible, he took a 747 from the airport, evacuated everyone from the plane, and then flew the airplane in a chase through downtown Honolulu, crashing off of buildings, glass flying everywhere, you know. And then 9/11 happened. And so, of course, everyone was in shock, but then like the day after we realized, oh no, we're gonna have to change the film, because even though it's finished in animation and in color and complete, there's just no way, you know, it would be so insensitive. So we had to go back in and change the 747 into a spaceship. Instead of flying through downtown streets of Honolulu, it was flying through canyons. We did what we could to alter the good work that had been done, but also, you know, it was a no-brainer, you just had to do it. Years later, we thought, you know, we can tell the story and we can show the beautiful work that had been done, and also the reason why we changed it. It felt like a way to honor the beautiful work that had been done, great animation and beautiful paintings, but also to acknowledge what happened, you know, and it was the right thing to do at the time, but also we wanted to credit the fine animators that had put their hearts and souls into creating that climax.
Yeah, it makes me think about the first Spider-Man who had the same premise. The end was supposed to be on the World Trade Center. You could see it in the trailer with the spider web between the two towers. How long did it take to re-edit the sequence, if you can remember that?
We had to do it in a hurry, so I think we reimagined, storyboarded, animated, and put through all the processes in about 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really quick, but nobody complained. We knew it was going to be a lot of work, and the crew was already tired because we were at the end of the process, but there was no question that we needed to do something.
Okay. And then you quit Disney?
Yeah, I didn't quit. I just left because I'd finished Lilo and Stitch, and I had not been assigned anything else yet. So I had the option of deciding what I was going to do, and I thought, well, I have all of these projects of my own. Many of them were live-action ideas, so I decided to go see if I could sell any of those to write and direct, and I sold 3.
Oh. And the artistic direction of dragons always reminds me of drawings made by another artist, Tim Burton.
Tim Burton?
Yeah,
really?
With the eyes on certain dragons, like not inside the skull, but outside the skull.
Okay, kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
googly-eyed.
Nightmarish.
Yeah, okay.
Is this something that you acknowledge? Or?
Well, it's the first time anyone has said it, actually. I mean, I love Tim Burton's style, but I never really thought of it in our world because so much of what we create is kind of an exaggerated realism. It's sort of a naturalistic look to everything. The design sensibility is from a French character designer named Nico Marley, and he's a prize of Dreamworks, but he is really responsible for creating the look of those dragons. All of the dragons except for Toothless, who was designed by our head of animation, Simon Otto, Swiss-German.
The fact that you made Toothless sort of a cat dragon, how did you think about that? Since it's really neat.
Yeah, Chris Sanders and I came onto the project to rewrite it and direct it. We looked at all of the dragons that they had, and they were all very reptilian. And we thought, if we're going to reinvent this idea of Toothless and make it different from the books, because in the books it's a small little dragon and talks, we thought maybe we could do something that was more mammal-based. And we saw a photograph of a black panther just laying on a tree limb, and it was so graceful but so dangerous at the same time. And we thought if we do it right and we make it just the right size, it will feel powerful and dangerous, but also like a big cat or dog. And so there's a lot of, I have French bulldogs, and the main Toothless animator on the first film, a guy named Gabe Hordos, he had just adopted a cat. So it's a mix of dog and cat behaviors.
Oh, this is why. All right. And all three dragons use pretty good stereoscopic 3D. Was that something that you were involved with?
We realized that we didn't want 3D to be used as kind of a gimmick in these films. So we saw a natural, organic opportunity, a kid who's never flown before, get on the back of a dragon and experience flight. So maybe we could put the camera just over his shoulder, maybe we could feel the vertigo when they dive, or the exhilaration when they climb, make it as visceral as possible. So the 3D helped in that regard because it was naturally going to give us depth. But we also realized in the more quiet and intimate moments, like for example when Hiccup first makes contact with Toothless, we began pressing in closer, bringing the depth toward the audience so that emotionally they feel more connected as well. So it was used in subtle ways and then in more obvious ways, with making things feel so visceral and kinetic.
And I do appreciate good 3D, so thank you for that.
Okay, cool, great.
And throughout the trilogy, you could see that you were adding and adding and adding stuff on screen, till the third one was, I don't know how you and your team managed to get so many things on screen at once, and I don't know how much time the rendering of a single image took, but I can't imagine how much.
Well, over the course of 10 years, the technology just keeps getting better every year. On the first film, we had a lot, to Chris Sanders and I, who came from hand-drawn animation, it was amazing, but there were lots of restrictions. You couldn't put many characters on screen at the same time. You couldn't have characters in their costumes. Lots of things would cause the computers to just shut down. By the time we got to the second film, they completely redesigned the animation tools. So the animators were now, instead of working with numbers, numeric entry, they were almost working like animators with stop-motion puppets. They could, on their screen, manipulate the character, create the poses. That tool was very fast and very intuitive, very artist-friendly, but we still had the bottleneck of the end of the production pipeline. So we had these big ideas for massive battles with hundreds of characters on screen, and we still really couldn't do it without a lot of pain because it would just take forever to render. So on the third film, they improved the renderer, and now it was like really fast, and it would calculate light. Ray tracers calculate light in a very different way than we had been using, so it's very naturalistic. And it allowed us to put as many characters on screen as we want, put as many light sources as we want, so we were able to now create images like the hidden world, which in previous films would have been a matte painting.
Okay. And in the rendering techniques, since the first one, you really studied fire simulation, because as I heard in the making of the first film, it was always based on propane or something like a gas, not something like lava fire. So.
Yeah, we tried to create a different fire for every dragon as part of their personality. So yeah, some dragons, they eat rocks, and so they would kind of belch out thick molasses-like lava, whereas some dragons would just put out a gas and then the other head would light it. And we tried to come up with something creative for each type of dragon.
Working with Roger Deakins.
He's a wonderful person. I love working with him, and every time he comes to the studio, it's like a master class.
Yeah.
Because he's very soft-spoken, but he has so much experience and such great taste. And he's part of the process from the very beginning, when we're just pinning up photographs and talking about atmosphere and color, all the way through to working with the camera department, working with the final lighting, and really adjusting everything so that the color palette and the camera work really reflects his sensibility as well.
I was surprised to see so many years between all three films. Did you have any issues?
No, the first film was made in a hurry because they had already wasted 2 years trying to do a very faithful adaptation of the book. Okay. So when Chris Sanders and I came in to rewrite it and direct it, we only had about 16 months before the release, which is really fast for an animated feature. The second film was about average. It took about 3 years to make. The third film took even more. It took almost 4 years to create because there were lots of stalls due to the studio was purchased, sold and purchased, and new bosses, and we went from making 3 movies a year to 2 movies a year, so the crew got smaller, and just various things. But throughout it all, the story never really changed shape of what it was.
And did you feel that on the third one you had the most freedom, the most creative freedom to do what you wanted, or
No.
no?
No, I don't think so. I mean, when you work in a medium where the films are this expensive,
Yeah.
you always have people questioning.
Yeah.
You know, and they're very rigorous about wanting to test the movie with audiences.
Yeah.
I don't think you never get like final cut in animation unless you're doing an indie film.
And did you have to change anything after
Little
tests?
things.
Little things?
Yeah, little things. I think the biggest change came in the beginning when I had the villain from the second film going through a redemption story as kind of a B story to what was happening, and that was taking too much time away from the main story characters.
Oh, yeah.
So I abandoned it so that we would focus more on the challenges that Hiccup was going through and the dragon story as well.
As a personal thought, when I saw the whole trilogy, I was surprised of the evolution of the Astrid character. I thought she was left aside on the second one and the third one. Is it something that you feel as well?
Yeah, in the third one I actually tried for a long time to give her own arc, give her a real problem to get over. And it's funny because it's like the more I tried to force it, the less the story accepted it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's already the story is about Hiccup having to challenge his own self-perception. It felt like a dueling story suddenly to have Astrid dealing with her own issue. So I think she's a really interesting character. I would love to explore more with her, but when you have such a limitation of time, sometimes you have to pull back on the complexity of other characters in order to support your main character. So she was once again kind of a support, like a helper character.
Yeah, that's what I felt.
We still tried to keep her confident and give her a useful role within the story, but I agree with you. We could have gone further.
This is something that I really didn't enjoy in the second one. I was like, why? What's going on with Astrid?
She's too supportive.
Yeah, she's too supportive in the second one. And the third one, I felt like she was going back to some of the...
Kind of a warrior. And
Final question.
Okay.
What are your current projects? I think there's a new project with Hasbro, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, called Micronauts.
Can you speak about it? Are you under NDA?
I can't tell you anything about it yet, just that I'm writing the story now. It's fun, it's a different world and new challenge and another set of characters, so I don't even know myself exactly where the story is going, so I'm not ready to talk about it, but it is exciting to be doing something in live action.
Oh, yeah.
I also have Treasure Island going, which is kind of a fun spin on the classic novel. Yeah. And a few other things that I'm developing as well.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And I'll see what you do next, and I hopefully I will enjoy it.
Thanks.